I'm most drawn as a fan of music and as a listener to people whose sort of passion and candor is undeniable, and you feel a real strong connection without even really knowing them, because they're sharing clearly very personal and intimate things that often, resonate with things that I'm going through in my own life, and it sort of gains strength and solace from that. That's what I strive to do in my own work, is to be revealing and honest in that way. And on this record especially, really made a point to, turn that light, as it were, on myself. I want to hear a performer going to great lengths to share something real, and the least I could do is demand that of myself.
This is my cry in the dark, in the blackest of nights, as fire comes from a spark, then set my soul alight.
Who You Say is a song that took me about 2.5 years to write, or to get the courage to write, maybe. And it's a difficult song to talk about, but I think it can best be characterized as like a very angry prayer.
Lord, hear me out. Come down from that tree and lift my father up. Send my sister love. Bring my brother home. Make sure our mother knows that her sons will be alright. That there's no need to cry. And if you are who you say, then show us today.
As good as it's gonna get.
Wise Blood is based on a book of the same name by Flannery O'Connor. That book just really got under my skin, and I really couldn't shake the story, this really haunting story of one man's very dark and twisted path toward redemption. It's kind of my way of haunting that story back.
Where you come from is gone, you can't go back. The train is taking off, it's tearing up the track. You tried to move on, but it held you back. It cannot be denied. It's the blood that's wise.
In some respects, this is a very old-fashioned album. It's intended for vinyl and based largely on live performance, but it's also very modern in that a fair portion of the songs were recorded track by track, some in a fancy studio, some in a more affordable studio, others in my dining room using GarageBand, or even my Akron-based bass-playing buddy's home studio, or even my drummer friend's high-rise apartment overlooking New York City. And Wise Blood is a great example of that.
Open up your eyes. It's the blood that's wise. Open up your eyes. It's the blood that's wise. Open up your eyes.
Hold it. Dude, that was sick.
The leaves are turning brown, soon be falling to the ground. It's getting cold outside. You're in your corner and I'm in mine, both wishing that we could find some way to turn the tide.
The Fall is a sort of lover's quarrel song, a one-sided conversation that gives way to this sort of lighter, waving pop song.
Cause I'm ready to risk it all. When it comes to you, I've still got a long way to fall.
It's got a very pop vibe to it that wasn't necessarily something I was interested in pushing for this record, but it's just like for me, it was too good a song to leave off, and the people that play on it do so beautifully. So it's definitely earned its place in the lineup. Fear Followed is a straight up murder ballad based on an experience I had. I was 22 years old and working the night shift in Raleigh, North Carolina, when I got held up at gunpoint, which is, every bit as upsetting as it sounds.
Was it the gun in my face? Was the gleam in his eye? Telling me today's as good as any day to die.
Essentially what happened is I was out changing the ice bags, whatever, the middle of the night, and then this dude came through the bushes, said he needed to use the bathroom. He's this little guy who's very unassuming, and so as soon as he got in the door of the store, he suddenly turned on me and pulled a gun on me, and his whole demeanor changed, and things could have gone very badly for me. But the way that happened, the way that this seemingly innocuous kid suddenly became my worst nightmare, really was hard for me to shake. And so I walked around for a few weeks in this sort of state of vulnerable paranoia where I felt like that could happen at any moment. Walking up the street after work, I would hear somebody jogging up behind me and suddenly just tense up and become paralyzed with fear. So the song comes from a sort of, it's like a dark and violent fantasy about the car ride to kill that guy. So that's where the murder ballad piece comes into play.
Well, why did you want to kill that guy?
I didn't really want to kill that guy. It was just, I always write songs from a place, I think, of vulnerability, but it's also my intention to sort of, come out of that situation empowered. I said somewhere else, I don't write sad songs because I want to feel sad. I write sad songs to get happy. So this is kind of that, comes from that same place of wanting to, sing away your trouble, or in this case, your fear. And then on the flip side, the song "Light the Dark" that the album takes its name from is much more of a literal mission statement.
But I will not fall apart. No, I will not give in or take part. Set fire to the spark. And burn a hole in the night to light the dark.
The music that means the most to me is music that I can tell is awkwardly honest, and somebody's sharing a real piece of themselves. And so that's what I try to imbue my own work with. And, sometimes that can be pretty uncomfortable to talk about, so it's much easier for me to sing about. But I figure, that's the whole point, that if what I want as a listener is for someone to be sharing their most intimate details to try to forge some kind of a connection and catharsis, then, I also demand that of myself, and Upward Down is probably the most unflinching look at my own culpability and whatever conflicts arise in my life. Something like that.
Wanna start, but where to begin?
Yeah, no complaints here. That felt good.